Hi, and thanks for joining me. In this video, we are going to look at the very basics of how to round numbers to the nearest 10 and the nearest 100. I have covered this topic in a little bit more detail in one of my other videos, but here I feel we just take it to its very basics and look at the rules involved. Let's make a start by looking at the method of rounding to the nearest 10. What we are doing is taking a number, let's say the number 26, and we are looking for the closest number to 26 which has a 0 on the end. So if we were to go up from 26, we would end up at the number 30, the nearest number with a 0. If we were to go down, we would end up at the number 20. So for any number that we look at, we have to decide whether or not we are going to go up or whether we are going to go down. And the way we do this is we look at the last digit of the number that we are wanting to round. And to help us do this, we have a rule. If that last digit is lower than a 5, then we go down to the nearest number that ends in 0. If it is 5 or above, then we go up to the nearest number. So looking at this example, the number ends in a 6, therefore it is 5 or above, therefore we go up to 30. Let's look at some more examples using this rule. Let's put some numbers on here. Let's say we have the number 67, we have the number 42, and we have the number 20. Okay, let's use the rule we've just found. We look at the number 7 here. Is it 5 or above, or is it below 5? In this case, it's 5 or above. So we are going to round up. The nearest number above 67, which has a 0 on, is the number 70. 42, this ends in a 2, therefore it is below 5, so we go down. And the next number down to have a 0 on the end is 40. This is 20, it already ends in a 0, therefore it has already been rounded and we don't have to do anything to it at all. Rounding to the nearest 100 is a similar idea, and again we have a rule to help us do it. This time we are looking for the nearest number which has 2 zeros on the end. So we may be looking for 400 or 700. Now the way we do this, let's start with a number. Let's say we've got 820. Rather than just looking at this last number here as we did before, we have to look at the last two numbers. And the rule we have here is if those last two numbers are 50 or above, so not 5 this time but 50, we round up to the nearest 100. If they are below the number 50, then we go down. So in this example, 20 is less than 50, so we have to round down to the nearest 100, and that would be 800. Let's use the numbers 475, 342, 250. So let's look at the rule again. 50 or above. That is what we are looking for if we are going to round up. And anything that is below 50, we are going to round down, and don't forget we're looking at the last two digits. So here we have 75. 75 is definitely higher than 50, so we round up to the nearest 100, and the next 100 up from 475 will be 500. Here we have 342, so the last two digits are the 42. 42 is below 50, so that one would round down to the nearest 100, which would be 300. Here we have 250. It's exactly halfway between 200 and 300. But our rule helps us because it says 50 or above goes up. This is 50, therefore that goes up to 300. Now sometimes you may have to round a number both to the nearest 10 and the nearest 100. Here's an example of a possible question you might come across. Kimberly has 342 pencils and it's asking how many she's got to the nearest 100 and to the nearest 10. So we have to do both calculations. So the number we are starting with is 342. Now remember, to the nearest 100, we are looking at the first two digits. 42, using the rule, is below 50, therefore we would round down, and the answer to the nearest 100 would be 300. Now to the nearest 10, let's start with 342 again. We know to the nearest 10 we are only using the first digit, and we are saying, is it 5 above or is it below 5? Well, it's below 5, so we would round down, and this time we are rounding down to the nearest 10, so the number is 340. It does look a little strange because to the nearest 10 it's a bigger number than to the nearest 100, but as long as we follow the rules, that's how we get the right answer. And there you go. If you want to take the subject a little bit further, as I mentioned at the beginning, I do have another video on my channel. If you have found this one useful, please do hit the subscribe button below and you get to see some of my other videos. And you might also want to take a look at a short video where we use these skills of rounding in order to make estimates. I'll put a link to that video at the side here. Thank you.